Hey everyone, welcome back to the show, The Other Side of Now. We are always so grateful and thankful to have you guys with us. And today is a really awesome topic. We're talking about energy rewrites. And this word rewrite has come up in almost every one of our episodes. And Cheryl and Pam talked about it in their interview. Kim and I talked about it in our interview. And again, it's come up in, between the four of us and in many different conversations. So today we're going to get into that and really journey through what that means. Before we do that, I think we've all really been impacted in different ways as to what's been happening in the country. And for myself, I know, it's been a really intense couple weeks. And so Linda and Cheryl know this about me. One of my old patterns is like retreating when things get really stressful or really overwhelming. And it's been something that I continue to work on. And it's definitely something I have not mastered. But I think with the energy of what is happening in our country, and especially how it's been affecting my home on a very deep level, as I'm married to Richard, who is a Black man, it's been quite a journey. And I just want to share with our viewers, for me, even though, we come on here and we're centered in love and we're smiling and we're totally in the purity of our connection, the struggles of life are still so real. And in my household, there are many, but choosing to move forward every day is something that I'm really committed to. And choosing happiness in the midst of the storm, which at times feels impossible, is totally a part of a commitment of mine from my personal self. So even though you guys see the smiles and you see the laughter and, which is real, I also want you to know that, like, I'm still superhuman. We're still superhuman. And there is a lot happening in life. I continue to extend my heart out to all of our fellow humans and community members that are being affected by what's happening in our country. I'm learning so much for myself, even in 12 years of relationship with Richard, about how much I still don't understand. And the best thing I'm doing right now is learning how to listen and expand my awareness on a level that I never really could until this point. So I guess I just wanted to share that with everyone and just continue to encourage people. If you are wherever you are in your journey and wherever you are in life, like, continuing to open your awareness, continuing to ask questions. Don't be afraid of being uncomfortable, because that is something for me that conflict and controversy is something that I don't do well with. But I'm learning that there is so much more beyond that. And it's really important that we continue to stretch ourselves. So I just wanted to start things off by sharing that and just kind of opening my heart up a little bit with that. And it totally, when we talk about energy rewrites, this is like a constant thing, that shows itself even in what I'm going through and what I know we're all going through in our own personal lives. So with that, I'm going to bring you guys into this. Like, when we say an energy rewrite, and whoever feels like they want to kick this off, it's like, what the heck is an energy rewrite? And maybe we have to start with what is energy and then go to what is a rewrite. So as I throw that out there, I'll let one of you guys, pick it up from there.
All right. Well, I love energy rewrites, so I'd love to begin with this. For me, what I'd like to start with energy is that I think there's still a lot of people that they go, oh, you do energy work, and it sounds a little scary, a little new age-ish. They don't really know what energy is. So I'm going to quote someone that we all know and respect, Albert Einstein, who says, everything is energy, and that's all there is to do. That's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. And so with that, we do understand that we're just all energy and there's energy all around us. So we're learning that this energy has power and it can control our lives. So with the purpose behind an energy rewrite, we realize that negative energy or energy that doesn't serve our bodies can really root inside of us. And it can create havoc with our health. It can create havoc with our attitudes of what our beliefs are about others, what our beliefs are about ourselves. And we're just realizing that, no, we just want energy within us that really serves us. And so what I love is this. I watched this TikTok, and there was this. See, I get the name wrong. It's not even TikTok. It's one of those other ones.
That's okay.
Yeah. But anyways, this woman that was on it, Penny Zenger, who talked about energy of thought, she quoted the National Institute of Science and said, every day we have 70,000 different thoughts, and only 5% of them are new every day, which means we are if we have negative thoughts, whatever, we are replaying them over and over. They're growing. And with that, we're creating power in them, strength in them. So no way, we don't want that. And then the one other person that I will quote that we love is Dr. Wayne Dyer, who says behind every thought we have is energy, all right? And so that our thoughts, that the energy behind it, give it that power, whether our muscles, our body is strong or weak. And so he does this great thing with kinesthesiology, which is muscle movement, to prove his point. And I've used this for health reasons, but if you go on, you can check it out. But very quickly, you do this muscle test where they stick their arm out, and if he has you think of a word that's really low energy, like shame or guilt or disappointment, what happens is your body, which holds that wisdom, which only holds truth about yourself, can't withstand it. It just goes down. And so it's showing it's not serving our body at all. But when we change it to sending out an energy that loves and supports us, our muscles are so strong. If he sat on your arm, he couldn't make it go down. So I think it's just really good to begin with that, to understand what we're talking about with this energy. And so with an energy rewrite, we take something that is not serving our body. But the first part is awareness, because sometimes we're not even aware that it's affecting our body. And so it sounds obvious, but sometimes in reflecting as we go about life, we look back at these examples and go, oh my gosh, that has really affected and made me do these things in my life that aren't good. Sometimes our awareness immediate, we say something and we're like, oh, I wish I hadn't said that. Or later on when we reflect the day. I'll just give you an example of one that I might do more often than I should, and I'm trying to learn from it, but it's under the category of parenting. So what can happen with me is that as a parent, you know, I've shared before, I've experienced a son who went through challenges with drugs in high school. So that creates like a trauma within you. Mm-hmm. And you continue to try to release it, but it has patterns that continue to replay. So even as my son is doing a great job and showing how strong he is with each day, sometimes I can still, if we're having a conversation, he's telling me he's going to do something, I can come back with that old fear, that old energy of like, well, gee, I hope no one's going to be doing drugs there. I hope. And so it's offensive to him.
Right.
That's not the energy he stands in anymore. But yet I'm still carrying it. I'm still in that fear, and I don't want to be. And trust me, I'm working on it. But it's a place where then I have to then send that energy out right away. You're right. I don't want to be doing that. And so I immediately rewrite the energy of one where I'm respecting his journey. I'm trusting in his journey. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying, I hope he makes good choices. I hope this, because that's still
It's still
carrying
doubt.
fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's still fear and doubt.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And so the beauty is when you do an energy rewrite, because it can only be about you, your thoughts, your choices. You can't influence, it's not about anyone else because we can't influence them. We can't change them. And so for me, just to say, I trust in his journey, period. It's, it sends out beautiful energy for him and for me. And I can, as a mother, just breathe
Yeah.
and let go and not be wrapped in that.
Isn't it true too? Because I've read a lot of different things about how the reality and truth behind how energy manifests.
Yeah,
So how our thoughts manifest, and it's not the thoughts of hope or like the top layer. It's the thoughts underneath it, which is where the fear is stored,
right.
or the anxiety or the doubt. So Wayne Dyer talks about what you really, really, really don't want is actually what will manifest, because that's what your primary thought is on a regular basis.
Right, right. And if you put out that energy,
Mhm.
that's what's going to come back to you. You don't want that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we're talking about with energy rewrites, we're saying stopping the doubt or the fear in that moment and going, wait a second, and literally rewriting it in real time.
Right.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's
And
right.
it's hard, I think, to do that sometimes in real time, like when you're in the moment of something.
Mhm.
So if I could just say this, I kind of look at it as a spiritual reimagining. I had an incident. I hate that I keep going back to that cancer because I don't think of it as a daily basis, but there was an incident that happened, and like what you said about real time, I think that was very helpful with me for this. I had started chemo, and sometimes you have a place where you have it alone, but other times there's more people with you. And this particular day, it happened to be the first one, there was a woman sitting next to me who had gone, I guess, through a lot of bouts of cancer. So when I was waiting to get the IV was put in, and they were putting in this medicine, that I was terrified. I'm going to be the first to say it. I was almost like in a surrealist kind of situation in my mind that this really isn't happening. And I was scared. And she started talking, maybe because she was scared, but here's the words she said to me though. She said, you're going to get it back. She said,
Mm.
you have breast cancer now. I had breast cancer. I had more bouts of breast cancer. She must have had 3. And then she said, and eventually it's going to go to your bones. That's
Mm-mm.
what she said.
Mm-mm.
So you all know that's been something I've tried to fight off, in my mind. And so I was lucky enough that I was with my friend Barb, who immediately like knew, like if she could have blocked this woman, she would have built a fence for that woman to be out of my life. But anyway, she said, listen to what I'm going to say to you. Look at me. Do not think of anything else. You are going to tell yourself, this is it. One and done. You are doing this regime you have to do now, but it's going to be ended. And you're going to tell your body that you're going to take care of it, and you're going to do whatever it takes to take care of it, but it's never going to happen again. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So fast forward, like 2 years ago, and Cheryl was with me, and she helped me do another energy rewrite because I had gotten some news from a radiologist that said that, like, I had problems with my bones, right? I had some fractures in the vertebrae. It was from a fall. It wasn't because of anything else. It was a stupid kitchen accident. But he said that in my pelvis, there was, he thought, something that was related to the breast cancer, and it was back again, right? And truthfully, I said, this can't be from this. This has to be still from that fall. I'm so klutzy. It had to be from that fall. And so Cheryl was with me before we went to the surgeon, and we did another energy rewrite, that my bones are fine, that this was not what it was. It was from the fall. It's healing, sending beautiful energy to it. We had little little beings that we use to help us heal.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that another time. But anyway, I went to the surgeon and he said, I don't know what he was saying. Nothing is showing. Right.
Yeah.
It's
great.
real. It's
Right.
the Dr. Emoto with the water and how the energy freezes in the frequency of what you're thinking. I
Right.
went to a retreat a few years ago, and it was to develop your intuition and develop your intuitive abilities, psychic abilities, and it was like fascinating. And the woman who was teaching it, she does this thing where every time a negative thought comes into her head, or like a thought pattern from the past that perpetuates, delete, delete, delete. So you guys hear me say this all the time, delete, delete, delete.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my family now, when they say something negative, I'll go, ooh, and they're like, we know, delete, delete, delete. And I'm like, no, because whether it's like, oh, I'm so old, or like, oh, here we go again. No, delete, stop it in the moment and change the energy, because you're going to manifest a result you don't want.
Right. And what I also love about this example Linda uses is it affects all of us, how people's fears, because they're so fearful, they junk it on us, they drop it, and it enters our energy field. And unless we're able to hear it, and you fortunately had Barb in that moment that could say, oh no, it's not entering the field.
Thank goodness, because I was like paralyzed. So that was so awesome. Yeah.
Right. But it's a very common thing that we all take on other people's fears. Oh my gosh, you're going there. You shouldn't do that. But all of these fears limit us or make us less, right?
Yeah.
And so writing these rewrites help us to be the best we can be.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And I know, like, that is a very real thing, as people's fears being projected onto us. And then for me, my own patterning and conditioning that I continue to work on and work out of like not sinking in when it seems like, there's just, life is just stacking up all of these obstacles. And I've been, as you guys know so well, of recently, there have been many challenges where, I mean, in the last couple weeks, I've felt paralyzed in bed at times, between being pregnant in the midst of a pandemic, our country being on the verge of a race war, being in an interracial relationship, having my family on the other side of the country, still newly married and integrating our lives, just piece after piece after piece after piece. And there were a few days, as you guys knew, where it was like, I'm like off the grid. I'm not communicating in my little, and what I'm proud of is I know how dangerous that space is and what it can, it's falling down the rabbit hole. And so I'm pulling myself out faster than I used to be able to. But, we talked about, prior to doing this episode, how the significance of extending kindness to ourselves and care to ourselves. And I think, Linda, you had said in our notes about the Dalai Lama, I love this quote. He says, my religion is simple. My religion is kindness. And when we think about just what is happening in the world right now, with each other, with ourselves, it feels like that truth couldn't be more powerful. I wore my love earrings today because I was like,
I love it.
And even as we talk about this, I feel like this can be triggering for people, even just talking about kindness and the power of love. But if you look at any spiritual leader, Jesus, Buddha, the Dalai Lama, Krishna, even Allah, like all of the true principles are all centered around love and getting back to that space of that universal space of love.
Right. And loving yourself and loving yourself, show that same kindness to yourself that you show to other people.
Right.
When we all of us do spiritual work, and a lot of people that come to get some help with that, sometimes it's their heart is broken, right? They like romantic relationships, whether if it's a broken relationship that's just a boyfriend, or a divorce, or anything like that. They have to reimagine what this was really about, because sometimes they have years to get over it, to get past it. So sometimes a better way of looking at it is to look at it in the way that I kind of believe, that before we were born, that we kind of contract to go through certain things in our lifetime.
Mm.
And sometimes we are contracted to be with a person that's our partner in this life for a period of time. It isn't always going to be forever. It's maybe not always going to be perfect, but there are things that you needed to learn through it, or things you needed to obtain with it, like your children, you know, like you come together for that purpose. But then after that, the lessons that you need to learn in this lifetime may have to be in another way. So it doesn't always last, but people will beat themselves up over it and keep it, like what Cheryl said about the negative thoughts over and over and over again. And that's what we see so much, that beating themselves up and not being kind to themselves. But then afterwards, if they step back and they think, okay, what is it that you got out of this? What was important to you? What made you happy in it? Why did you come together to begin with? Like, what did you find some things and lessons that you learned in life or about yourself that you wouldn't have learned if you hadn't come together?
Right.
So that was the purpose, but now you have other purposes.
Right. That's right.
Absolutely.
And with that is, I'm thinking about the past life things, where I'm going to use an example in my life. So I went through a period where, to know me, I had really bad back issues. I mean, I was in bed for months, and I went to all the right doctors and stuff like that. No one could do anything for me. And I was just in constant pain. And so as I was in constant, terrible pain, my son at the time was out west, and it was for what we felt an important reason. He was asking us to come out and join it. Now, my husband could have gone out, but I just automatically said, oh, nothing will keep me from going. I don't care. I don't care if I have to drag my body, whatever I need to do. He needs me. I'm going to go out there. Well, I was like laying on the airplane floor, for heaven's sake. I got out of the airport, off the plane, and my husband said, oh, I'm just going to run to the bathroom. You are going to be okay. And I realized, no, because I can't even stand up. What I learned from all of that, when I came back and did more cranial sacral work and worked with Pam, these past lives presented themselves to help me to understand that a pattern of mine was this way of not loving myself in this really beautiful self-love. It was this old way of loving where, like, I don't care about me, I'll do anything for my child. And that I had actually in past lives hurt my health, terrible things that happened to me, all for choosing to save him from choices he made. That wasn't even my journey. Those are things he needs to learn from, right? Find the gift behind that. And so very clearly then in this life, I had to say, I choose me. I'll be the best mother I can, but I choose me, and I love and support his journey and my daughter's journeys. And with that, I realized all the energy I was carrying in my back, all the pain, like that broken back from carrying all that stuff, and my back healed.
Wow.
And I do a great job now with my back, but it never, like, I didn't go seeking past lives. It wasn't like, oh, I know this is rooted in past life. It was just how it all presented. But I was open to it because my body was asking me to heal, and the medical world could not provide a solution for me.
Right.
And so I rewrote that energy, boy. I sent it out there, and bingo.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It changed everything.
Yeah. Did you have something, Linda?
No, I was just going to say, because I do know about all her back issues, and that she basically healed herself with rewriting that energy.
Yeah.
This is like similar. it feels like it's an extension of what we're saying, but something that just feels appropriate to incorporate into this is for myself, in wanting, in not in avoiding conflict. I'm a conflict avoider, like, you know, and I'm like, I never want people fighting, like I'm always like, but even in that energy now I'm carrying stuff that's not even mine sometimes, and things that are mine. I haven't been able to see it like this all the time, but it's like I'm trying to go around it or possibly avoid it and not move through it, just
Yeah.
because the energy is more dense, and that's such an uncomfortable place for me.
Right.
And I've realized in doing rewrites and being able to expand my awareness and see things differently, I'm actually going against my own beliefs by not honoring all of the realities or all of the truths of not only what I'm going through, but what people are around me are going through. And so I feel like, I think I'm like tripping myself up a little bit in my thoughts. Pregnancy brain. Controlled on me, pregnancy brain. But I will say, in my own home, being able to, an example that I'm thinking about is like Richard has said at times, referencing how he's a dark-skinned Black man, and just like how the world sees him. And he would be like, you know, when I step out these doors, I'm a dark-skinned Black man, like I'm not who you see, I'm the, you know. And the energy of that, we would argue, because I would be like, why are you talking about yourself that way? Like, in my love for him, I'm like, what are you? And I've realized, like, wait a second, yes, in my love for him, I'm not seeing that aspect of things, but I'm totally dishonoring his experience by not being able to hear through his language what he's really saying, which is, my reality is such that these are circumstances and parameters that I'm facing. And
Right.
so I know this could seem distant, but like, I hope for me, this is connecting into this whole thing about rewriting, because rewrites even help me to see things different. Does that make sense?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought it up. To me, it's like a perfect segue for something I wanted to talk about, because I so connect with what you're saying, because I just had, and I'll speak for myself, a personal experience with this topic too, and the desire to do an energy rewrite. So, you know, as you know, we've had a couple conversations with Cottrell.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I'm only speaking for myself. But what I found is, you know, the topic was on, you know, what's happening now in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and with racism and Black social injustice. And so we were talking about that in connection with the show. And so for me, I see myself as a kind and loving person that loves everyone. All right. So that's just how I see myself and the energy that I float in. So we have this conversation. And what I find is, my words they're not received with this love as I speak. I can see I'm annoying her. I'm frustrating her. Like, maybe anger, like with it all too. But there was definitely, I was offending her. And I was like, what? Like, it was so unfamiliar to me, because in my mind, where I was at that time, I thought I was speaking with like love, like, okay, I said that from my heart. And so I found, as during that conversation, what happened is I had a lot of reactions, and a lot of the reactions were like, well, now I'm feeling annoyed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at the end of it all, what I felt was a whole bunch of righteousness. Yuck, terrible. So for me, what happened is, when my body reacts like that, it is telling me, if you have the ability and it's your time, you need to go there. You need to unearth that. You need to look at what is creating all of this within you? So I'm like, okay. So what I really ended up seeing, it was this control was providing an opening for me, an opening in a new way. And what she was asking of us is to become, not, she wasn't asking, I'm saying the wrong words, but she was talking about the need for education, for white people to become more educated. And at the time I didn't get it. I was like, I think I am educated, like, you know. So since then, I have really started my path of what I call education. And what I have become aware of is how I am not aware. It's just this real opening, and I wasn't even aware that I was unaware. Like, that's how unaware. And so I was very comfortable in that, because in my heart, I'm open and loving, but I didn't peel back the layers. I didn't go any further than that. And so, you know, she sent that Instagram to us with Emmanuel, right?
Everyone, if you're looking for amazing content, it's called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man.
Yeah.
And you can find it on Instagram. And they're these like 15, 20-minute interviews. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. So I realized, you know, my words could never have carried in that conversation any energy of love, because I had no awareness. There was no depth, no energy behind it that carried that kind of support. And so after all that, I realized that my energy was asking me to do a rewrite. And it was a rewrite about my complacency, like realizing I didn't even know I was complacent with all of that. But so I've thrown the covers off of my complacency. And thank you, Cottrell. And so my rewrite is that I will continue to educate myself, continue to get involved with the hope that one day my words will carry an energy of understanding, of true understanding, so that they can be received in the love and support in which they're sent.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Wow, Cheryl, so powerful.
Right. That is. And with everything you're saying, it brings hope, compassion and hope. And that is how we feel. This is why we wanted to do this, to bring compassion and hope, right?
Right. And so, you know, I say this is my energy rewrite, and it clearly is. I speak for myself.
Yes.
But for many people I know that I've had so many conversations with now since this, there is this we're beginning to wake up to the realization of this complacency, or not being aware of really what we need to become aware of. And so if this energy rewrite speaks to people or something similar, you know, use it. Like,
absolutely,
add your name onto it and send it out, because it is a beautiful place to start when we can rewrite our own energy and begin with that.
Right.
So powerful. And it makes me think about, you know, I used to hold on to this so tightly, and in again, awareness and learning and really being able to listen and receive beyond what is comfortable to me.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to accept the fact that love, just because there's love, unconditional love, pure love, love is not always enough.
Yeah.
Love is not enough. Now, this may sound like a contradiction, because in the beginning of our conversation, I talked about the Dalai Lama and kindness and Jesus and everything being tied back to love, you know, and I love love. But in our human condition, in our human reality, we have to go just beyond what our hearts say and what our hearts feel, to understand the depths of other people's realities.
Right.
And so that has been a big piece for me, because even Rashad would say to me, I know you love me. I'm not saying you don't love me, but you
Right.
don't get it. You don't get it. And I'm like, what don't I get?
Right.
No, there's a lot I don't get. And I think Mr. Mantis in my belly is putting me on the fast track too, to
That's right.
really
Oh, yeah.
going, stretching, and just really going beyond, to take these true spiritual beliefs that we're all rooted in and continue to expand them out. And so it's like, maybe this is like my normal vision, and now it's going like this, you
Right.
know. And if you're just listening, what I'm doing with my hands is they're going straight and then opening horizontally.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we say this again though, because you started in the beginning, and I think this is important to kind of emphasize. This rewrite is for ourselves. It's
Yes.
not something you can do for somebody else
Right.
or for somebody else to do, or change events in the world and rewrite them and then it happens. It's
Right.
it's your personal rewrite, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And the other thing I was going to say is, I just hope we've made it clear, is that rewrites can be for anything. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be
Right.
powerful. Like sometimes, even, you think about of like work kinds of things, going into a meeting or whatever. And
Right.
sometimes we can play a pattern like, you know, last time I really screwed up at that meeting, or boy, I'm not a really good speaker. I hope so-and-so goes first, or
Right.
whatever we do. And those are the things day to day for all of us in our jobs, whatever the junk is we carry,
Right.
rewrite it in a
Right.
way that really represents ourselves powerfully, taking back our control.
I'm
That's-
so glad you brought that up, because even when I think about all the different relationships in my life, girlfriends, my marriage, family, if there's tension or challenges somewhere, what I've learned is, even if I'm like driving in my car thinking about the situation, instead of thinking about the 101 negative thoughts around it that are so easy to think about, now I'll be in a space where I'm like, okay, stop, delete, stop. How can I like send positive thoughts to this? And I promise you, in my truth, every time I've done that, the next interaction with that person is completely different than the previous interaction that stemmed from a conflict place or a challenge place, because my energy is diffused, and that is what is coming off of me, and that person consciously or subconsciously is receiving it.
Right.
That's
Right. Right. One thing I recently learned is, so my father-in-law passed away last year, and we had a challenging relationship. He had a challenging relationship with a lot of people. Let's put it that way. And I think for a lot of us, we can connect with in-law challenges and the energy that can be dumped on us, or we can take on out of our own insecurities or whatnot. But anyways, toward the end of his life, let's call it the last 5 years or so, I'd bring over meals, and he loved talking with me. And he wasn't someone that really had those kind of conversations with people. What I found is that he started to open up about, and he did not talk this way, about regrets he carried in life. And it's a great thing, because none of us want to be at the end carrying regrets, right? Or it's just the energy that it's, I watched him and heard his words as he carried, like, he talked about work, what he did at work. And he would say, you know what? I was such a perfectionist. I never let anyone else, get any, do any of the work. And that frustrated them, and people got annoyed. And he talked about that. So what I would just say, I wouldn't say, okay, let's do an energy rewrite. I'd just say, so today, Frank, in the energy of who you are right now and what you're trying to tell me, how would you do it differently? What would you do? And he would say, oh, well, and then in a beautiful way, it'd say, like, you know what? I should have let them do that. And so we went through each category of his life, and you could see how that lifted so much of his energy. And you just think, had we done that early, or if he had had the wisdom or the knowing to do it earlier, how it could have made him maybe feel happier through life, or not that he was carrying this load.
right.
So,
That's an excellent example. And it did shift it for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so this really applies to every aspect of our life, from
Every,
health to relationships to personal feelings about how we feel about ourselves.
right.
Every aspect of our lives, we can stop the negative thought and in that moment rewrite it. And we're not saying, so people are clear, we're not saying that you're denying a truth or avoiding or anything like that. We're literally saying to shift the frequency of your thought energy, which is where the process of manifesting comes from. And that's what leads to all of these different outcomes.
Right. Right. And even at nighttime when you reflect on the day,
Mm-hmm.
so you can reflect on the day and just say like, oh, I wish I hadn't said that, or I did this, or whatever it may be. It's the idea that, you can't change the other person's reaction.
Mm-hmm.
As you're playing back that scenario, you can't make it all happy.
No.
But if you just, you take the rewrite for how your role or what you said or your actions could have been kinder, gentler, more loving, more reflecting of just respecting you and not getting involved in everyone else's journey, you know?
Yeah. I love it. I really want to say, because I know we're kind of nearing the end of this conversation. I'm saying this from my own experience in the last few weeks, like, keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Keep moving. Things are really challenging for so many of us in different ways right now. And I was definitely close to stopping that movement and just going, I can't do anymore. But we got it. You have to keep moving, and whether it's through prayer or meditation, a loved one, thinking about a loved one, but movement creates more movement. And in times like now, where there is so much intense energy everywhere for very, very significant reasons, I feel like we have to continue to, I don't want to say push ourselves, but guide ourselves forward so that we don't get stuck in anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And it creates opportunity, new opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Delete.
Delete. Remember that.
Say it all the time.
Yes. It's like the second a negative, delete.
Or until you start saying it.
I know. It's so real. But yeah, we hope you guys are doing well. There's so much happening, but the sun is out right now. It's a new day, a new opportunity to choose a different way, to rewrite something that happened yesterday or even this morning or this afternoon, this evening, whenever you're listening to this podcast. So for me, I want to continue to encourage you guys from my own experiences, because as Linda and Cheryl know, even just a week ago, I was like a sobbing mess and very overwhelmed and very frustrated. But you keep moving, and that's it. You just got to keep going. You got to.
Right. I just have to add a little comment to that.
Okay.
As your friend, I know this, we'll say we don't know anyone stronger because you have many variables, and yet you do walk the example of not going under. There may be moments where you need to get off the grid, but you're always looking at, what do I need to learn? What do I need to rewrite? How can I grow from this experience? What's it showing me? It's always rooted in love, no matter how mucky that love may feel or look. But you always anchor yourself in that trust that it is going to take you to the other side.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've had amazing friends and mentors and family to help me in that. And I'm doing the work, I'm really committed to walking the walk. So I really receive that and I appreciate that. And I just want people to know, like, the struggle is real. And one day, hopefully, I'll be able to share more and more and more about, for me, what that is. But it doesn't have to own you.
No.
It doesn't have to define you.
And we
And
talked about vulnerability, and you
yeah,
are always so willing to be vulnerable, you know? Yeah. And that's beautiful because it helps so many people know that they can be too. And you're still loved, you're still respected, you're still cherished. All of that is still
right,
there,
right.
right? Yeah. Yeah. This is wonderful.
Now I want to play the song, people all over the world join in.
I love Trey.
On the love train, the love train. So everyone knows in my family I'm not a singer, I'm the dancer. So when I bust out into voice,
I know. We won't talk.
Daddy Mendenhall is the singer. I keep singing to Mantis, and I'm like, babes, I know the voice isn't there, but it's all from love.
That's right. Make a joyful noise, Sam. That's all you need.
Oh, well, this was great. I love you guys so much.
Love you too.
Yeah,
And
this
so
was
happy that we were able to do this today. I think it's a healing message
Mhm.
for a time that's been so hard for
Yeah.
so many people. It's needed.
Yeah,
It's needed.
absolutely.
There's hope. There's hope.
Absolutely. We send you all our love and our prayers. Continue to, listen to that inner voice and all of those nudges, those inner nudges inside of you that are guiding you. And just know that we're here for you. Write us, communicate with us, talk to us. And until next time, we will see you again.
Bye.
Bye.